Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh, and in today's video, I am just going to be talking about a few shows and movies that I have watched, as well as a few things that have just been on my mind and things that I've wanted to just discuss with you guys. So, namely, the things that I want to talk about are Real Housewives of Potomac. There's a new season. The Victoria's Secret fashion show. I finally watched the fashion show. I know I'm a little bit late. And then also the fact that Blade has been delayed indefinitely, and also the fact that Substance has been placed in like a completely different category than what it should have been for awards season. So, firstly, Real Housewives of Potomac is back. There's a new season of Real Housewives of Potomac, and I'm finally caught up on all 3 episodes. I just binged them all this week and got through it. The changes for this season versus last season is that Robin, Candace, and Naneka or Neka, all 3 of them left the show. I'm honestly kind of glad to see Robin leave because her and Giselle just kind of ran around last season and did whatever they wanted. And I just felt like, I was like, why are they even here at this point? So I'm glad that Robin's gone, to be honest. Candace, I'm a little bit upset to see her gone, but I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised because last season, Giselle was kind of trying to like make Candace's husband out to be something that he wasn't. She was like trying to say that he like approached her uncomfortably or like made her uncomfortable or that he like entered her dressing room. She was basically trying to make something out of nothing. So I think Candace just really got tired of it and said, screw it, I'm out of here. And then Neka, I honestly don't really remember much about Neka. I don't really think she gave us much. So for her being gone as well, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it doesn't fathom me. Like, I'm just like, okay. But we have 2 new additions to the source. So we have Kiernan and Stacy that are officially a part of the cast, and then we've got Jacqueline and JC that are like friends of the show. So as far as Kiernan and Stacy, I really like them being added to the show. I think they bring like an interesting dynamic, and I'm kind of intrigued to see like what like dynamics they're gonna have and how they're gonna like shift like the overall like cliques in the group. Like we know like Karen has always been like the grand dame of Potomac. So like I'm interested to see like now that we've got some new cast, like what how that's gonna change the dynamic of the show and like how that's gonna shake up friendships and stuff like that. So after I watched all 3 episodes, I have a couple thoughts. And firstly, I want to start with Karen. So Karen already has a DUI. This is her second DUI. And before I recorded this, I was trying to like rationalize it. I was like, is there a way where I could like rationalize somebody getting a DUI? The more that I thought about it, the more I'm like, no, like there's no like rational reason why anyone should be getting a DUI, especially in 2024 when we have apps like Uber and Lyft out there. And Karen's a grown woman. Like Karen is a grown woman. So I'm like, there's no real way you can really rationalize this. Like there's no rational reason why in 2024 you should be getting a DUI. And now the fact that she has gotten, technically, she's gotten a second DUI. I don't know how far this is legally and I don't want to get sued. So technically, this is her second DUI. And the way she's kind of pinning it, like, or like playing it this whole season so far, she's kind of acting like it's like some murder mystery. Like she's trying to be like, well, we don't really know what happened. We don't really know like what caused this. Like I may or may not have been drinking. I may or may not have been drunk. Like we don't really know. Like the details are still like sketchy. Like the facts aren't really out there. But it's like the facts are out there. Like I get it from a legal perspective. Like you're not supposed to incriminate yourself on video. That's one thing that literally any lawyer with 2 cents will tell you not to do is to incriminate yourself, let alone on video. So I get why she's saying some of that, but at the same time, I'm like, why are you trying to play this like it's like some great mystery or like a murder mystery? Like we pretty much know what happened. Like we know you. I believe she got arrested. I believe she got arrested for a DUI, or she at least got pulled over or like ticketed or something. But officially, she has another DUI. Like this is her second DUI. So I don't really like the way she's trying to play it. Again, she's trying to play it like it's a murder mystery, like we don't really know what's going on. She's kind of like, oh, well, I don't know, like I can't really talk about it, like my lawyers, and I get that. But at the same time, it's like we know what happened. Like you got drunk and then you got behind the wheel of a motor vehicle. So why are you trying to act like we don't know what happened? Like she's trying to act like somebody forced her to drive or like somebody like it comes across as if she's trying to like sweep this whole thing under the rug and I'm like, why are you acting this way? Like we don't know what happened. I don't like that. Like why we know what happened. Like we weren't there firsthand. I wasn't there firsthand. The camera and crew weren't there firsthand. Nobody on the show was there firsthand except for you. And then I believe the officer, whoever showed up later to give you your ticket or to arrest you or whatever happened. So like officially we don't know what happened. Like I don't even know if she's like been like confirmed being drunk, or if this whole DUI thing is just alleged, like if it's just like they're trying to figure out if she was drunk behind the wheel or not. But it's like it's not a good look. Like the whole way she's trying to make it like we don't know what happened, like she doesn't know like what happened officially, she can't say officially what happened, like it's not fair to like say that she got a DUI. Like it just, I'm like, why are you acting like this? And like even Ashley, I believe in the second episode, is kind of like, you endangered somebody else's life, you endangered your own life. There's absolutely no way to rationalize somebody getting a DUI in 2024. Like the only way that I could think of where you could rationalize somebody getting a DUI in 2024 is if they were at an event and somebody brought a weapon to said event and there was an altercation and things just got out of control and you had to flee for your life. Then okay, I'd be like, okay, well that person literally had to flee for their life. If so, maybe they were a little, inebriated or incapacitated or whatever it's called. Sure, they were drunk, but they had to flee for their life. So they had no other choice but to flee in a vehicle for their own safety. Then I could get it. But then it's like, that didn't happen here. Like she wasn't fleeing for her life here. The first time she chose to get behind her motor vehicle drunk. Like, and again, it seems like this is the second time this is happening. Like what's going on here? Like why? I don't understand why she didn't learn her lesson the first time. Like why are you still getting behind a vehicle drunk? Like there's just no logic behind it. There's no logical reason or rational reason why you should be driving drunk. There's no logical or rational reason why anybody should be driving drunk in 2024. And so the fact that she's trying to like portray this as like, again, some murder mystery where we don't know what happened, I don't like that. Like I'm like, you not only put your own life at risk, you could have put somebody else's life at risk. You could have seriously injured somebody, you could have seriously killed somebody. And my main problem with this is like, time and time again, we see so many people who get DUIs take somebody else's life or seriously injure somebody, like a life-changing crash, or like they lose a limb, or like they lose like part of their motor skills function. It's like, these are serious things. Like these are irreversible damages that are done to people because people still choose to get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle when they know they shouldn't. Like if it does come out that you were drunk and this is your second DUI, then I'm like you're moving down in my book. Like Karen, throughout this whole show, has been one of my favorites. Like from season 1 all the way up until now, she's been one of my favorites. But this is just like, I'm like, that, no, like there's just no logic behind you getting behind the wheel of a motor vehicle when you're drunk. I'm sorry, there's not. And not only that, in the first episode of the show, Giselle throws a hatitude party, or what she calls a hatitude party. And her and Karen and Giselle kind of just attack Mia. Like they kind of say that she wasn't protecting her kids and that she didn't do enough to protect her kids among all the scandals that's going on in her life. And it just kind of came across like they were just trying to call her a bad mother, which I'm just like, that's not fair. You're not in her shoes, so you can't really, that's not fair to say, and that's not a nice thing to say. Like, I don't think anybody would want to hear from anybody else who doesn't have a first-hand recollection of what's going on in their lives trying to say that you're a bad mother or that you didn't protect your kids. So I really didn't like that. Those were two things that she did. Oh, and the third thing, her inviting all the girls to her silly little award ceremony when she knows, and it was planned in advance, that they were all supposed to go to Giselle and Ashley's GNA event. Now, no matter how unserious GNA as a brand is, I'm sorry, but it is. It's a little bit unserious. It was kind of like in memory or in memorandum of Giselle's father passing from cancer, unfortunately. So I'm like, and that was planned in advance. So for Karen to just kind of like, again, I think it was like at 6 o'clock in the morning, she just shot everybody a group text like, hey, you're all invited to this event. I'm like, that is so underhanded, and I'm like, that's cruel. Like, she's doing this, yes, for an unserious brand, but she's doing it for a very serious purpose and a very serious cause and foundation. Like, she's donating to cancer charities, cancer research, and stuff like that. They're raising money for a very serious cause that affects millions of people. So I think for her to just undermine this and kind of say, well, you're all invited to my event, where it's like her literally receiving an award. And I'm like, what are you even receiving an award for? Like, I could get it if it was like a Nobel Peace Prize or a Purple Heart. It's nothing serious like that. Like, I don't even remember what it's for. So those three things kind of just really like moved her down in my books. I'm like, she's still one of my favorites, but like you're quickly losing that spot because of how you choose to act. And I think that like, I don't know, maybe she's stressed out about this whole like alleged DUI thing. I don't know what's going on, but I think hopefully further into the season she changes the way she's acting, because I don't like it. Like, I don't like the fact that she is indirectly trying to accuse somebody of being a bad mother and that she would undermine Giselle's event like that. and also the fact that she potentially has another DUI, because it's like, why are you still getting behind the wheel of a vehicle drunk? There's no reason why you should do that. There's no reason in 2024 you should be getting behind the wheel of a vehicle drunk. There isn't. Like, I don't know what to tell you. There's no reason why you should be doing that. And I don't like how she's kind of like trying to play it off this season or sweep it under the rug. Like, I don't like that. So I really don't like what direction she's heading in this season. I don't like it at all. But surprisingly, Giselle is being more nice this season, and I think it's because her partner in crime, if you will, Robin, is off the show. So she's gone. So I think that is kind of forcing Giselle to be in a position where she's like, okay, I actually have to bring something to the table now. I can't just going around saying, you did this and you don't want to talk about that and blah 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 blah, and he tried to get with me, and he tried to she can't do that anymore. She actually has to bring something to the show. And so I like that she's kind of been forced into that position, and I like it. I like it. She's being a lot nicer this season. She actually apologized this season, which I'm like, never in a million years would I thought she would do that. So I like the direction she's going, and I like that she's trying to like rekindle her friendship with Wendy. I really like that. It feels like genuine, it feels sincere, and I also like that she's kind of like directing things now. Or it came across like she like directed like the whole direction the first episode went. Like she threw this attitude party, like it was all about like her party, her event, where she wanted to go. I like that. I like that side of Giselle. This is a much more interesting side of Giselle than the Giselle that just goes around airing everybody else's dirty laundry out. Additionally, I like the new girls. I like Stacy and I like Kiernan. I think they bring an interesting dynamic to the show. I'm glad to see them joining the show. I really am. I think Stacy's storyline, her storyline's kind of interesting. She's dating somebody who doesn't want to be intimate until they're married, which again, I can understand because he's religious, so I get that. I really don't remember much about Kiernan's storyline. I don't think we really got much of it because she wasn't invited to the Attitude party and she wasn't invited to the GNA party, I believe. Or maybe she was, but we really didn't get much from her yet, and I think it's just still too early on. But she seems interesting. I really like her. I like Stacy. I think right now Stacy I'm most intrigued by. She's got a daughter, and then she's going through a divorce. Like, she's recently separated, and she's like trying to navigate life now. She's moved back to like the DMV. So I really like where they're going with Stacy, and I'm interested to see more out of Kiernan. I think Mia's whole storyline about her trying to figure out if her kids are Gordon's kids or Ink's kids, I'm like, this is so unserious, it's not even funny. Like, and the like whole intermingling of this, where it's like she still has Gordon around, but then she's also got like Ink involved in this whole mess. I'm like, this is just too messy. Like, we need to like, let's take care of this off camera and let's do something more interesting on camera. Like, I'm like, only from Mia could we get something so unserious, but like we still like a little bit invested, if that makes sense. I enjoyed this new season. Like, I actually enjoyed it. It's much better than the last two seasons were, that's for sure. Definitely worlds better than the last season. So I'm really interested to see like where the show goes and how these new girls are going to shift the dynamics of the show. The next thing that I want to talk about is I watched the Victoria's Secret fashion show. I finally watched it. I know I'm a little bit late to that, but I finally watched the full runway show on YouTube, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good show. I thought everybody looked good. I didn't think anybody looked bad. I think the wigs maybe were a little bit tacky, and then another thing that I like kind of would critique is the wings, like the wings they would wear. Like, some of them kind of looked a little heavy, so they kind of looked like lopsided on the models. But other than that, I didn't really have a problem with it. I know the internet, from what I've seen at least, the internet as a whole is kind of mixed on it. Like, I know the New York Post put out a big article pretty much saying that this show should not be back and that it's too late. And I kind of get that, but I really didn't have a problem with the show. I liked how they were a lot more inclusive this year, and again, I didn't have a problem with anybody's look. My favorite looks of the entire show were from, and I'm sorry if I butcher anybody's name, they were from Bahati Prinsloo, I believe that's how you say it, or Prinsloo, I don't know, Anokyai or Anokyai. She's one of my favorite models right now. Again, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering her name. And then Alex Kasani. Alex Kasani was, of course, there. We love Alex Kasani. So I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was a good show. I thought everybody looked great. Again, from what I've seen, the internet just seems mixed on whether or not the show should be, whether or not the Victoria's Secret fashion show should be back or not, or whether Victoria's Secret as a brand should even be doing this kind of thing again. I think one thing that even I picked up on the show is it's still, even though they're in this new like era of where they're like the women are in charge, as they're sort of putting it, even though they're going down this path of being more inclusive and more diverse, which I'm glad to see, even when I was watching the show, I could pick up like this show still feels like it was just incoherently targeting the male gaze, not Gays gaze, Gaze gaze. That's what this show, it just feels like it's still kind of catering to that. And I think it's just because Victoria's Secret as a brand, that's just who they're going to cater to. I think that is something that we just need to come to terms with. Like, Victoria's Secret as a brand is a lingerie brand. They're lingerie for women, not lingerie for men, lingerie for women. And throughout pretty much all of history, even in today's world, lingerie for women is still intended to be viewed through a man's eyes. Like, even in today's like modern world, progressive world, that's still how it is. And so even while watching the show on YouTube, I still just like that air, that vibe, that aura just kind of came through, and I was like, yeah, this is still kind of catering towards the male gaze. And again, I'm not blaming Victoria's Secret, because I think at the end of the day, that's just their image as a brand. Like, I think that's just who they're going to cater to probably for the rest of their existence, because again, women's lingerie is a very like subjective industry to be in, and I think because of the world we live in and the world that we're in, even though it's progressive and even though we're making strides, I think, in the right direction, you can't just erase a brand's history like that. And all throughout history, Victoria's Secret has just catered towards the male gaze. I think that that's just, they're just gonna have to accept that, and they're just gonna have to embrace it. Like, they're just gonna be like, yeah, it's for the male gaze, but it's also for women. And I get it. I get they're trying to like do that with this whole, it's by women, but it's for women. Like, I get that, but at the same time, it's like you can't just throw away your history. Like, you can't just say, oh, well, we're not that brand anymore. You're still Victoria's Secret. Like, you're still a woman's lingerie brand. You're still like doing the whole angels thing. Even though the show had diverse models of all shapes, colors, and sizes, it was still mostly skinny, tall women. Like, it was like, it doesn't matter how many different colored women you add, how many shades they are, it's still skinny, tall women in skimpy lingerie. And I'm not trying to shame the models, I'm just saying that that's what Victoria's Secret still is. Like, and I'm glad to see that they're embracing, you know, plus size and older individuals. They're kind of saying, you know, lingerie is for everyone, because it is. And I'm glad to see them having plus size models on the runway, older models on the runway. But again, you can't throw away your history. And I think that that is what a lot of companies that have come under scrutiny for have just tried to do. They're trying to be like, oh, we're not the same brand. But you kind of are, you know, like, once you find a brand or an image, or once you become popular enough, that brand and that image is going to stick. Whether you like it or not, it's going to stick. It's the same thing that I talked about in my earlier video with Dr. Disrespect and how he kind of was trying to like sweep these whole allegations under the rug. You can't. They're going to stick. Like, that's just how it works. And so I think I'm going to applaud them for trying, and I think they are making moves and strides in the right direction. But I think, again, you can't just throw away your past. You can't just say, oh, we're not that brand anymore, because you are. Like, I can... It's clear, like, even watching this new reimagined Victoria's Secret, it's still there. Like, that just, I don't know, maybe it's because of the society where we all grew up in and where we all live in, and because of, you know, for lack of a better word, patriarchy. Maybe we need to all change our viewpoints on how women's lingerie is viewed, and maybe we need to like readjust our viewpoints, and I need to adjust my viewpoints and see that, you know, it is empowering. And I think that lingerie can be very empowering. You know, it's good to feel sexy, it's good to feel hot, it's good to, you know, put on something and, you know, feel like, ooh, like I'm gonna turn heads in this, you know what I mean? And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that that's a great thing. But again, I don't know, maybe it's just because of the world we live in, or maybe it's just because we grew up and we're still in patriarchy, that women in lingerie, especially strutting down a runway in lingerie, just still has an aura of male gaze. It just still has a vibe of like, oh, this is intended for the male gaze. Like, I don't think they can ever shake that. Like, I don't think there's ever going to be a point in time where Victoria's Secret can kind of get rid of that air. Like, I don't see that happening. And again, maybe it's because we as a society need to just readjust our viewpoints or something like that. I don't know what it is, but it just, even this new modern rendition, it just still has this air of this was intended for the male gaze. So I don't ever think they're gonna they're gonna shake that. Now, do I think it's accurate to accuse the models that participated in the show of creating unrealistic beauty standards? No, because the models are just doing a job. They're there to get paid and to look good. That's what they're there to do. They're not the ones forcing everybody to be skinny. They're not the ones saying skinny is bad. They just are skinny. They're just there to do a job. So I don't think it's fair to shame them. When it comes to them trying to rebrand, I get it. And I think they're making moves in the right direction. And I'm glad to see more women both in front of the screen and behind the screens and in the production and working on the shows and having more of an influence on, what gets done at the company. But again, I don't think they're ever going to be able to shake off the air of just this was intended for the male gaze. I don't think that's ever going to happen. And again, maybe it's because of the society we live in, and maybe we just all need to readjust our viewpoints. I don't know. But even watching that show as like someone who's not even into women, it has, I'm going to use a word that I don't mean to use in that way, but it still had that stench. It just does. It still has that stench where it's like, okay, we know who this is for. It does. And I don't think they're ever going to be able to get rid of that. I like the show overall. I'm glad they brought it back. I think that having a show like that is good. I think that, if the women that are in the show are happy doing it and the people producing it are happy doing it, then what's the harm? Do I think we should be saying to every girl, that's what you need to look like? God, no. But I'm glad to see it back. I don't think that it's a bad thing that it's back, and that's honestly my opinion on that. Okay, the last 3 topics that I want to talk about, and I know this video is running long, so I'm going to blaze right through these, is the first one is Blade has been canceled indefinitely. Honestly, when I saw that article on Twitter, I was like, I'm not surprised. If anybody who saw that article on Twitter or anybody who heard the news or is just now hearing the news, if this is your first time hearing that the MCU Blade movie that was supposed to have Mahershala Ali as Blade, if you're just now hearing that that movie's been delayed indefinitely, if not canceled fully, I gotta ask how. Because as soon as he pretty much, I believe he asked Marvel for the role and they said yes, and then they brought him out at Comic-Con and then they announced it. And then we heard it was getting delayed, I believe, due to COVID. They pretty much pushed back their whole slate. And pretty much since then, we haven't heard anything about it. So as soon as it pretty much went radio silent, I said, yeah. Like, I just knew that movie, as soon as they said it was delayed, and then we got nothing for it for about a year, I said, yeah, that movie's never going to come out. And, like, I get that they penciled in a release date, I believe, for next year, but for those of you who know how Hollywood works, and for those of you who'd like to, learn about the behind the scenes of Hollywood, we all knew, yeah, there was no way that movie was going to get, first of all, a director, a script, and edited, filmed, shot, wrapped up and all that in a year. That's almost impossible for a movie that big and with a budget like that. It's just not going to happen. So I'm not surprised that they said it's delayed indefinitely. I believe they gave that movie's release date to, I believe, a new Predator movie. It's from the same people who did Prey. Apparently Prey was really good, so I'm excited to see what they do with Predator. I'm glad that now that Disney has bought 21st Century Fox that they're still keeping, Alien and Predator alive. I'm glad to see that. When I saw the article and when I saw the headline, I was like, yeah, I'm not shocked. Of course it's been delayed indefinitely. We haven't heard anything from it for over a year. Mahershala Ali cleared his schedule for, I believe, 2 full years. Like, he did not act in any movie for 2 full years so they could shoot that movie, and nothing ever came of that. So I'm like, yeah, that movie's never coming out. Like, I don't believe that movie's ever coming out. Maybe it will. Maybe they'll recast him. I know in the last Deadpool movie, Wesley Snipes said that there's that infamous meme of him saying there's only been one Blade, there's only gonna be one Blade. Maybe that cursed it. I don't know what happened, but instinctively I knew that this movie was going to be either fully canceled outright or delayed indefinitely. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you let me tell it, there's a couple other projects that the MCU has either announced or a couple characters that I don't think we're ever going to see again in the MCU. The first one that popped into my head was Moon Knight. I don't think we're ever going to see Moon Knight. We might see Moon Knight again, but I don't think Moon Knight is ever going to be integrated into the main MCU. I just don't. I think because that show was a Disney Plus show, and I think because it didn't do astronomical numbers, and because the MCU has kind of been in shambles for the past few years, mostly due to COVID, but also just due to them choosing absolutely god-awful writers, I don't think we're ever going to get anything out of Moon Knight again. I'll be shocked. I don't think we're ever going to see that character again. don't think we're ever going to see Armor Wars. For those of you who don't know, that was kind of like a spin-off of like the Iron Man trilogy, where it was supposed to star Don Cheadle as War Machine, and it was supposed to bring James Spader back as like a Ultron in the flesh or something like that. I don't think that's ever going to see the light of day, because we've heard nothing from it. It's been announced, and it's just been radio silent. So I don't think we're ever going to see anything from that. I don't think we're ever going to see the Eternals again. And that is mostly due to the fact that that movie came out during COVID and it flopped. But it's like, I don't think we're ever going to see those characters again. I would love to be wrong about these things, but I don't think we're ever going to see that again. I don't think we're ever going to see the Eternals again. I highly doubt we're ever going to see Moon Knight again. I think we might see Captain Marvel in the next Avengers movie, but that's it. I don't think we're ever going to get another solo Captain Marvel movie. I don't think we're ever going to get a season 2 of Miss Marvel. And I don't think we're going to see Monica Rambeau's character outside of the upcoming either Avengers or X-Men movie. I don't think that that's going to happen, simply because that we haven't heard anything from these things. In Hollywood, if you hear something get announced, but you don't hear anything about it for a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, it's not happening. I mean, when did Shang-Chi come out? When did that come out? Like, where is he? We haven't seen anything from Shang-Chi. It's been years. We haven't gotten news of a Shang-Chi 2. We haven't gotten any of that. So I think that there's just certain characters in the MCU that we're just never going to see again. Harry Styles' character, I don't think we're ever going to see, I believe his character was named Star Fox. I don't think we're ever going to see him again. I don't think we're going to see anybody from the Eternals ever again in the MCU. Like, I think that was a one and done. There's just certain characters we're just not going to see. So when I heard this Blade movie was delayed indefinitely, not a surprise. I'm like, yeah, I'm not shocked. Like, there's certain things in the MCU that they've announced in the past that I'm like, yeah, that's never going to see the light of day. Ironheart, that was supposed to come out fall of last year or fall of this year. I don't think that's ever going to see the light of day. I think that, no. Because she was received so poorly in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and because that movie as a whole was kind of, even to this day, like, a lot of people love it, but it was iffy. Like, it could have been a little bit better. And I think they should have recast T'Challa. Like, I do. I don't think that they should have just killed off that character as a whole. I think they should have recast him. But I don't think we're ever going to see Ironheart. I just don't. Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't think Armor Wars is ever going to happen. I don't think we're ever going to see Moon Knight again. I think we'll only see Captain Marvel, Kamala Khan, and Monica Rambeau in Avengers movies, and that's it. There's certain characters where it's like they have just been abandoned and left in the MCU that I doubt we'll ever get anything out of them. Shang-Chi, I even keep forgetting it. Shang-Chi, I doubt we'll ever see him again. It just doesn't seem like it, because it's like it's been so long since these characters have been seen that it's like you get to a certain point where the audience is like, wait, who is that and what did they do? Like, you can't just introduce a new character into a franchise and then let them sit on the back burner for years and then suddenly bring them back. Like, the audience forgets, the audience moves on, the audience just doesn't care. And I think with certain characters, again, like Shang-Chi, we're at that point. The audience doesn't care. They don't care. They've forgotten about them. Like, how many people really remember exactly what happened in the Shang-Chi movie? Not too many people. There's just certain things in the MCU that I just don't think are ever going to come to fruition. And that's not a bad thing. Like, that happens to any, like, film studio where certain things just get scrapped. But on the whole Blade thing, I'm like, yeah, this is not new to me. Like, I'm not surprised. Like, I get that they're saying, like, it's been delayed indefinitely, but I think what they're really trying to just do is just delay them, saying, well, we either are going to cancel it entirely, or we're just going to recast the Blade character, or, God forbid, they bring Wesley Snipes back. I'm sorry, but no, he's too old for that role, and I think it's time to move on. The next thing that I want to talk about is the fact that the substance for award season, it got placed in, believe this or not, the comedy/musical categories. First of all, what do you mean comedy musical? How in the world is, for those of you who have seen The Substance, how in the world is The Substance a musical? Yes, I get the music played a large part in the overall vibe of the movie, but did I see the wrong movie? Did I see like a secret cut of The Substance? Because from what I remember, nobody was singing in The Substance. Like, did I just watch the wrong movie or something? Did my theater show me the wrong cut of The Substance? Because from what I remember, nobody was singing. Like, there was music, but nobody was singing. So I'm like, what do you mean comedy musical? It's not a comedy. It's not a musical. Like, I don't get how they're butchering the mission for award season so badly. Like, what do you mean comedy musical. That movie is not a comedy. It's not a musical. If anything, it's kind of more like a drama or like sci-fi. If anything, like I don't even think it's those. I can't really tell you what category it's in. But comedy musical? What? No, like I don't know who is putting these movies and shows into these categories for award season, but ooh, somebody please help them out because no, no, that's not a comedy and it's not a musical. Definitely not. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is apparently the Chick-fil-A streaming service is still happening. I saw this article like a few months ago on Twitter that apparently Chick-fil-A is coming up with their own streaming service and now they're still going forward with it. What? Like, I'm sorry, but why is a fast food company getting involved in Hollywood? Like, I don't. Huh? It's not making sense. Like, why are you going from making food to now you're making shows and movies? And you got your own, not just for another platform, for your own platform? It just, it doesn't make sense. I'm a little bit curious as to what these shows and movies are going to be about because I'm like, again, you're a fast food company. They're probably going to have something to do with how cows want people to eat more chicken or something silly like that. But I'm like, what do you mean you're making your own streaming service? I thought it was a joke at first. Like, I thought it was like an April Fool's joke or something. But no, apparently this is still happening. I don't see, I don't know who's whispering in somebody's ear that this is a good idea and that it's going to bring in revenue because it's not. Like, that's not a good idea. Like, what? You're going from chicken to a streaming service. Okay, like that's to me the equivalent of Hydro Flask going from making water bottles to them saying, "Oh, we're now going to make military jets." What? You, like the two, it just doesn't correlate. And I'm just like, why are you getting involved in this mess? Like, there's already a bajillion streaming services that we're also having to subscribe to watch old stuff because it's all locked behind a paywall now. And now you're going to add something new to the mix? Like, no. If you want to bring in more revenue, open on Sundays. There's the answer. Like, I get it, you're closed for religious reasons because either the founders or whoever founded Chick-fil-A is religious. I get that. If people have a religious conflict and they don't want to work on Sundays, don't have them work on Sundays. The founders, I'm sure the founders are not in Chick-fil-A's working, so why do all Chick-fil-A's need to be closed on Sundays? Like, I think, and you could say, well, they're closed because they don't want to mix in with church service. Okay, then have every Chick-fil-A in the nation open. What time does the latest church service end on a Sunday? Like what, 2 o'clock? Have all Chick-fil-A's open from 2 to 9 on a Sunday. That's what, 7 hours? You know how much revenue you can bring in from that? Why are you going in the direction of a streaming service instead of opening certain locations at least on a Sunday? Like, I promise you, people in California will not have a problem with the Chick-fil-A being open on Sunday. Heck, they're closing the Chick-fil-A down the road for me for renovations. It's been closed for a few months now, and people are still going apeshit crazy over the fact that they're like, when is it gonna open? Like, they need their Chick-fil-A. Like, there's not a bajillion other Chick-fil-A's in the area. Like, I got Chick-fil-A one day, and literally, I kid you not, everybody in the store was like, where'd you get Chick-fil-A? I'm like, another location? Like, there's not just one Chick-fil-A in this state. So I'm like, why are you going this direction? Like, just open some store. If you need more money, just say that. And if you need more money that badly, open up on Sundays or extend your hours during the weekdays. Like, the solutions are right there. And again, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's something in the water, something in the air, or COVID just messed up everybody's brain. Like, the answer is right in front of them and they're going around it. Why are you making a streaming service? Out of all things, I'd rather you make plushies, little cow plushies. Sell those if you need more revenue. But yeah, I'm just like, I thought it was a joke and now it's actually happening. And I'm just like, at this point, they just need to hire me to like come up with business ideas and strategies because what do you mean you're making a streaming service? Like, it blows my mind how far people and companies seem to be going just to bring in an extra dollar. It's just absurd at this point. But anyways, that is all I wanted to talk about in today's video. I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning into my channel. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you guys all in the next video. I hope you have a great day, and bye-bye.